Before Rome ruled the Mediterranean, there was Carthage, rich, powerful, and feared. A city of merchants, warriors, and seafarers, founded by legend, fueled by gold, and nearly unstoppable. This is the story of the empire that challenged Rome itself, and almost won. Imagine a bustling port city on the North African coast. Not just any city, but one strategically placed like a bouncer at the door of the Mediterranean. That's Carthage for you. It sat right on a promontory, perfectly positioned to eyeball every ship sailing between Sicily and Africa. Talk about prime real estate. This location wasn't just pretty, it was profitable. Carthage quickly became a trading powerhouse, raking in the cash and growing into a major player. Soon it wasn't just a big city, it was a rival to the rising star across the sea, Rome. And let's just say things got a little competitive. So who built this place? Tradition says it was founded by Phoenicians from Tyre way back in 814 BCE. Their name for it? New Town. Original, right? But hold your horses. Archaeology is a bit of a party pooper. The oldest stuff we've found only goes back to the late 8th century BCE. Looks like the Carthaginians might have stretched the truth a little about their age. Maybe they just wanted to seem more established? We're totally ancient, trust us. The most famous founding story comes from the Romans, specifically Virgil's Aeneid. It features the legendary Queen Dido. Dido was a Tyrian princess who fled her greedy brother Pygmalion. She landed in North Africa and, according to legend, bought land that could be covered by a single ox hide. Being clever, she cut the ox hide into tiny strips and encircled a whole hill. That hill became the citadel, the Byrsa. Pretty smart, right? Though maybe a little cheeky. The Romans called the inhabitants Poeni, which comes from Phoenicians, meaning Phoenicians. This is where we get the term Punic from. So when you hear about the Punic Wars, just think Phoenician Wars. It's less catchy, though. The Phoenicians were basically ancient real estate gurus. They knew how to pick a spot for a colony. They looked for great harbors and easy access to trade routes. Carthage's location was basically the jackpot. It was on a triangular peninsula surrounded by low hills and backed by the Lake of Tunis. This lake was a super safe harbor. Plus, it had plenty of fish. Free food is always a bonus for a new city. The peninsula offered access to the open sea, but also protection from nasty storms. It was like having a front porch and a storm shelter all in one. The site was also naturally defensible. Hills provided high ground, and a narrow strip of land connected it to the mainland. Easy to guard. Most importantly, it was smack dab in the middle of the Mediterranean, right near the Strait of Sicily. This strait was a major bottleneck for east-west trade. Controlling that strait was like controlling a toll booth on a superhighway. Carthage was perfectly placed to get rich off passing ships. The ancient citadel, the Byrsa, sat on a hill overlooking the sea. It was the heart of the city, though sadly, most of the original Punic buildings are gone. Archaeologists have found some early tombs there, which is cool, but doesn't tell us much about their houses or temples. We have to imagine a lot. Okay, let's talk money. Carthaginian wealth was legendary. These guys were loaded. But when it came to art and literature, some ancient sources, mostly Roman go figure, weren't exactly impressed. They thought Punic interests were more about making a buck than making masterpieces. Carthage controlled a huge chunk of the Western Mediterranean trade. Their big moneymaker? The luxurious purple dye made from murex shells. This stuff was like ancient gold. Only the rich could afford it, and Carthage had the hookup. Now about Punic literature, or the lack thereof. The Romans did sack the city pretty thoroughly. Carthage's libraries and archives were either given away or just didn't survive the fiery destruction, so it's hard to say exactly what they wrote. Maybe they had amazing novels and poetry, or maybe it was all just accounting ledgers and shipping manifests. We'll probably never know. One cool exception is Mago. He was a Carthaginian writer who wrote 28 books on agriculture, yes, farming. His work was so good the Romans translated it. Even famous Roman writers like Columella cited him, so they were good at something practical. Even in Roman times, Punic stuff was seen as fancy. Punic beds, cushions, and mattresses were considered luxuries. They also copied Punic joinery and furniture, so while they might not have written epic poems, they could build a comfy chair. A huge source of Carthaginian income came from mining silver. They had mines in North Africa and southern Spain. They started mining near modern Cadiz, Spain, as early as 800 BCE. Later, they mined near what is now Cartagena, Spain, yes, named after Carthage. Mining silver is hard work, but it pays the bills, and it certainly helped fund their, shall we say, disagreements with Rome. Ah, the Punic Wars. This was the main event, the ancient heavyweight championship. From the mid-3 RD century to the mid-2 century BCE, Carthage and Rome duked it out. There were 3 major wars. They weren't exactly friendly skirmishes. They were brutal, drawn-out conflicts for control of the Mediterranean. Carthage had a powerful navy and famous generals like Hannibal Barca, yes, the guy with the elephants. Rome had a massive army and stubborn determination. Spoiler alert, Rome won. All 3 times. It wasn't easy, though. Hannibal gave them a serious scare, even marching elephants over the Alps. But Roman persistence, resources, and adaptability eventually wore Carthage down. The final war was almost overkill. By the Third Punic War, Carthage was already weakened. But some Romans, especially the old senator Cato the Elder, were still paranoid. Cato ended every speech, no matter the topic, with the phrase Carthago delenda est. That translates to Carthage must be destroyed. Talk about holding a grudge. And destroy it they did. In 146 BCE, after a long siege, the Romans captured Carthage. They plundered the city, burned it to the ground, and according to some, possibly exaggerated accounts, even sowed salt into the fields so nothing could grow. Rome was not messing around. The defeat was total. Carthage was wiped off the map as an independent power, and Rome became the undisputed master of the Western Mediterranean. It's a harsh lesson in history. Sometimes the loser gets completely erased. But wait, there's more. Carthage wasn't gone forever. About a century after its destruction, the Romans decided, hey, maybe that spot was pretty good after all. In 122 BCE, the Roman Senate tried to found a colony there. It wasn't a huge success initially. But Julius Caesar, ever the ambitious one, later sent landless citizens to the site. He saw its potential. Then, in 29 BCE, Emperor Augustus made it the administrative center of the Roman province of Africa. Carthage was back in business. It was renamed Colonia Julia Carthago. Under Roman rule, it quickly grew prosperous again. It became one of the largest and most important cities in the Roman Empire, often ranked alongside giants like Alexandria and Antioch. Not bad for a city that was supposedly salted. Carthage became a favorite city of the emperors, even though none actually lived there. It was a symbol of Roman power and a vital economic hub. We don't know a ton about its day-to-day history during the later Roman Empire, but we know it started to decline by the mid-3 RD century CE. Empires, like cities, have their ups and downs. Carthage also played a significant role in early Christianity. By the late 2nd century, it had its own bishop. Famous early church fathers like Tertullian and St. Cyprian were from Carthage. It was a major center of Christian thought and activity. However, the 4th and 5th centuries were turbulent times. Carthage was troubled by internal Christian disputes like the Donatist and Pelagian controversies. Religious arguments can be just as fierce as military ones. Then came the invasions. In 439 CE, the Vandals, led by Gaiseric, captured Carthage almost without a fight. They made it the capital of their kingdom in North Africa. The Vandals held it for nearly a century until the Byzantine Empire, under Emperor Justinian I, decided to reclaim Roman territory. In 533 CE, the Byzantine general Belisarius defeated the last Vandal king, Gelimer, near Carthage. Belisarius marched into the city unopposed. Carthage was now part of the Byzantine Empire. It remained an important city for a while longer, but its final chapter came with the Arab conquests. In 705 CE, the Arabs captured Carthage. They preferred the nearby town of Tunis, which had a better harbor by then. Carthage was totally eclipsed. Its stones were often reused for building Tunis. The once great city faded into history, becoming little more than ruins. So what can you see of this incredible city today? While the Punic city is mostly gone, the Roman city left significant remains. Carthage is now a residential suburb of modern Tunis, but you can still visit the archaeological park. You can trace the outline of Roman fortifications and see parts of the massive aqueduct that supplied the city with water. Roman engineering was built to last. The Byrsa Hill, once the Punic citadel and later the Roman Forum, is still there. The Romans built a huge temple complex dedicated to Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva on the site of the old Punic temple. Near that, there was a temple to Asclepius, the god of healing. The Byrsa also had a fancy open-air portico where some of the best Roman sculptures were found. Other Roman remains include an odeum, a small theatre, a larger theatre built by Emperor Hadrian, and an amphitheater that looked a lot like the Colosseum in Rome. There are also ruins of numerous Roman baths, because Romans loved a good soak, temples and a circus for chariot races. Imagine the crowds! Christian buildings from the Byzantine era can also be seen, including the remains of large basilicas. Interestingly, the Byrsa Hill is now topped by a late 19th century French cathedral dedicated to King Louis IX, who died near Tunis during a crusade in 1270. History layers upon history. Excavations continue to uncover more of this fascinating site, revealing glimpses of both the Punic and Roman past. Carthage was a city of incredible ambition, wealth, and resilience. It rose from a small Phoenician colony to challenge the might of Rome itself. Its strategic location made it a trading giant, and its rivalry with Rome shaped the course of Western history. Though it was utterly destroyed, it was reborn under Roman rule, only to eventually fade away. Its story is a reminder that even the greatest powers can fall, but their legacy and the lessons learned from their rise and fall live on. So next time you think about ancient history, remember Carthage. The city that dared to challenge Rome had a queen who was great with ox hides and probably had some really comfy furniture. If you enjoyed this journey through the rise and fall of Carthage, don't let this video suffer the same fate. Hit that like button to show your support. Subscribe to our channel for more epic history stories. And let us know in the comments below. What surprised you most about Carthage? Or what other ancient city should we explore next? Your engagement helps us keep making videos like this.